When you first want to head out soft baiting, for me I found it quite hard. I'd never really done a lot of it. So the one thing I did pick up from a lot of people was pick the day you're going to go. Pick a nice day, don't pick a rough, blowy day, otherwise it gets harder and harder for you to learn and you'll get frustrated. And as soon as you get frustrated with fishing, you'll lose faith in it and it just goes out the back window.
Soft baiting is good because it's you get to cover a lot of area in a good amount of time. I mainly use them from the land, shore base, beach and rocks. They are awesome in current. I generally use a heavier jig head for that situation because I like the fast moving action. And what I sort of look for is sort of the reefy outcrops, wash areas. The jig heads I'd use will be mainly would be a 1 ounce. It's good for your casting distance to get it out away from structure for a start. Gives you a lot more time to maneuver it back into the wash.
Basic technique is usually you want to cast ahead of your drift. So just a nice long cast, keep the slack out of your line. So as the soft bait goes down, your line will start getting a bit slack. So you want to just keep a little wind to it so you can have feel towards it. And you'll feel it when it goes down and hits the bottom, and then just twitch it back up. So that's the simple way of doing it.
It's quite long, isn't it?
The preferred way that I like doing it is I'll chuck in a heavier jig head. And because I'm not soft baiting generally in deeper water, I'll just cast it, wait for it to go to the bottom. If I don't get a hit, I'll wind it up slowly about 5 times. And then if I don't get a hit then, I just pull it back in, recast. And I found that generally when the soft bait is going down and I'm targeting the bigger fish, they'll take it on its way down. So if I'm not getting hit, I just bring it back up, cast as far as I can ahead of the drift, wait for it to go down. When it hits the bottom, slow wind up, similar to when you're using a Kabura style jig. And if I don't get no hits, I don't really bother wasting my time. I just bring it back up because I'm trying to get the bigger snapper so I get bragging rights on that day. Heavy jig head, just cast it, just basically fish the drop. When it hits the bottom, then just wind it up, redo that.
For me, that's more of a successful way, but
just to get the bigger ones too, that works.
I hate it when you lose it now.
Oh, fuck, don't say it. Oh,
It's big.
now I can rub it into my mouth.
It's big.
Oh,
man,
moly.
Drag it around here, man.
Probably one thing I probably would say with soft bait is just think of them as a live bait and work them as a live bait. Yeah, you've always got a live bait on your rod, is what a soft bait is.
Probably the best thing I like about soft baiting, it's a clean boat. It's a good sensation when there's a big fish on, it's taking 50 metres of line. Probably can't beat it really. Majority of the fishing that I've caught, big fish now, are caught on soft baits. So. An experienced fisherman who wants to get into soft baiting, I suggest something like a 4 to 6 or a 5 to 10 kilo rod with about 8 to 10 kilo braid, 30 pound line, range of jig heads from quarter an ounce up to 1 ounce, which is their range anyway. And I prefer the big soft baits. Gives you a lot more weight to cast, gets you a lot more distance. And saying that, different areas, I know people down in Auckland prefer the smaller soft baits, but up here you should be using big soft baits. Yeah.
So most of the fishing that I do is from a kayak. Weight's a really big issue. I mean, I'm a big boy, so any extra weight that I put on it is going to be affecting the way that I fish. So not having large amounts of lead, having the convenience of being able to just bring a couple of jig heads and that sort of thing, and then the soft baits, there's no weight to them. So I can have a whole selection of different baits, essentially, ready to go, and from having one that sticks together and doesn't get bitten off, it means that I sometimes only go through one soft bait a day. Or, I might not even lose a soft bait. So this is a really interesting question about patterns and weights, because it seems to be a lot of like the Ford versus Holden debate, where it's this shape or that shape. But with me, I find I use all the weights through the whole range, because sometimes the fish want something that's going to be drifting down faster, and then other times they want something that's going to have more hang time. So quite often what I'll do when I'm rigging up is I'll have two rods that are exactly the same. They've got the same reel, same rod, same line, same leader. They're my two primary rods, and I'll put the same sized soft bait on it, but one will be usually a 3/8 and one will be a 5/8 jig head for where I go fishing. And so one side of 1 ounce, and so I can sort of get to pick how the fish are feeding in that time, whether they're wanting something that's more in the strike zone or something with more hang time.
I like using soft baits because it's a lot more active. Like, it's an active way to fish. You can work, the different water columns as well, which is fantastic with just you changing your jig head size. You can basically pick up a lot more bigger fish that I've found, especially wash fishing, and also along those sandy edges and that as well of banks.
You'll never ever get a fish gut hook, very, very rarely will you get a gut hook fish with a soft bait. Okay, they're clean. You don't have to worry about waiting for anything to open to buy bait in the morning. You don't have to go and catch your bait in the morning. You can rock on out and you'll be fishing for the change of light.
I'll look up the chart where I can sort of find where there's ledges. Generally on the corner points is a good starting point on most of the islands, and I'll look for contour lines. So you'll get the seaweed coming down, and if you've got land, obviously the reef structure, you've got seaweed coming down, you've got sand, then I'll just try and pinpoint how close. So I'll start off right up against where the rocks are, maybe where the waves are crashing. If I get no hits, I'll come out a bit, so where the drop is happening. So I'll just go right on top of where the seaweed line is, sort of thing. If I get no hits there, then I'll pull out a bit more, generally where the sand meets, and then I'll try and get hits there and tug at that area.
Rigging your soft bait. With the new ones from Catch, they have a little hook on the back of them. Very, very important to make sure that your soft bait is sitting the right way on your lure, okay? This one wasn't quite straight. As you see, it leans over. So when your lure is coming through the water, they will spin rather than swim. You want him to swim like a paddle, okay? With the new Catch jig heads, we have a stinger hook attached. When a predator eats a fish, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to either immobilize it or kill the fish off with the tail. So what we do to protect the tail, with no tail your bait is no good. We've got a stinger hook. So what we do with the stinger hook is we put that into the top of the fish, okay? Making sure you don't sit them down too far back in the tail, otherwise your bait will come up like this. We want just a little bit above the tail. Hold your bait like this, get your stinger hook, main hook on the bottom and your stinger hook up on top, okay? Stopping the fish from chewing the tail off, he will get caught on that hook. So that's how you want your rig to look like, guys. Ensure that when you're putting it on, nice and straight. You are better off to take it off and reposition it than to throw it out not looking right.
I do that much of it, it's not funny. So it's part of my life, it's something that I do all day, every day, a lot of the day. So it's, for me to sum up soft baiting, it's a necessary. You have to have it on your boat, otherwise you're going backwards.